Hello. Today I'm going to provide a brief tutorial on how to create and set up a Google Classroom. You're first going to go ahead and start by navigating to www.classroom.google.com, and depending on if you have other Google Classrooms that you either have joined or you've already created, you may end up at a screen that has no classrooms, or you may see a screen similar to the one I have here with many classrooms already added to your page. The first step is creating the classroom. To do that, you're going to navigate up here to the right hand corner and click on the plus sign. In this case, you are not joining a class, you are creating a class. You'll select Create Class. In my example, I would go ahead and title my class with my name. The section would be your period number in our case, subject. And in this case, there is no room number, so I will just go ahead and type virtual. Then when I'm done with that, I'll click Create. Now my Google Classroom for my U.S. History class has been created. The first thing I might want to do, and this is totally optional, is perhaps I would want to select a banner theme. So I would go ahead to Select Theme, click on, in my case, English and History, and I am going to select this particular banner because it looks like it symbolizes U.S. history. I will select the class theme, and it will be updated accordingly. Okay, the next thing I want to review is the stream feature, and in the tool links at the top of your screen, it's the one to the far left. Your stream is really a chronological, almost news feed containing any announcements, assignments, or assessments that you might be adding to your Google Classroom. So as we work through this example today, you will see how that will populate. The next feature is classwork, and this is going to be where you are doing the primary amount of your work. And to set up your classwork page, first thing you're going to want to do is create topics. The topics are essentially headings. So the suggested practice is that each teacher create a general course materials topic. And under this category, you might include things like your course syllabus, your weekly plan, any kind of guidance that you are going to provide to your students about how to navigate your course. All of those materials can be added to your general course materials section. To create those materials, you can again go to the Create button. And in this instance, you would likely be adding material. So material are items that you're not going to require students to complete. You are providing these things for students to view. So you can click on the material button, and maybe you want to type in course syllabus. You can type in a description. It is optional, but it is recommended that you describe all of your postings. So use this document to find important course information. Then to upload material, you're going to go to the Add button, and you can either choose to select a Google Drive, which then you would pull your documents from your Google Drive, or you can link a document, or you can upload a file from your computer. I find that I use most commonly the Google Drive or the file upload option when I'm adding materials. Additionally, you can create an original document from your material post, but I would recommend having these documents already created and simply then adding them to your post as you create your classroom. Once you've posted the material, you can select here which sections or which classrooms would receive the same materials. So maybe I also teach third period and second period and seventh period. So I want this course syllabus to be applied to each one of my classrooms respectively. I select all of those. And then I would click, you can click under topic. You can find your general course materials and click post in the upper right hand corner. The other suggested practice is creating topics by unit, and as you populate your course with your class's materials, you will organize those materials by unit. We're hoping that all teachers organize their classrooms by unit to help students navigate the many resources they're going to be asked to navigate this year in our distance learning setting. As you're creating these topics, you can also move these topics in different orders within your classroom. So if I want my general course materials to remain at the top, I'm going to go ahead and just drag and drop that heading to the very top. And if I want Unit 1 to come before Unit 2, I would go ahead and do the same. Now, the next thing I want to show you is how to create an assignment. Creating an assignment in Google Classroom is very similar to the way you create material. You click on the Create button, navigate to Assignment, and once again, here you can include all of the details for your assignment. So if I am assigning an essay, let's say I would include in my instructions what students would be responsible for, and of course in my assignment document I would include much more thorough directions so that students would know how to complete it. Then again, I would add from the Add button, either from my Google Drive or upload a file. I would likely also include another document, a rubric. You can add multiple documents to assignments, so any documents that would be associated with the assignment itself, you can add. So I am going to go here and just as an example, I will navigate, and I'm just going to go ahead and pick, it's not an essay assignment, but we'll pick an example. The thing I want to point out here is that the default setting to the document that you assign is that students can view file. But if you've created a document or an assignment in which you want students to fill in the document to complete it, in order to complete it, I would recommend, and I recommend this for anything you assign, rather than students can view file, select the drop-down arrow and select make a copy for each student. This gives a unique version of the document to all of your students. If you do not do that, students can edit the document that you've assigned to each one of them equally, so they would be able to see one another's contributions, which is generally not what you're aiming for. Then on the right hand side, you'll see here you can apply the assignment to a variety of your classes. If you are working within one of your classes and you only want this assignment to apply to some of the students, once students have joined your classroom, you can select key students rather than assign it to everyone. You can assign point values. I will say that I didn't use this feature initially when using Google Classroom, but it is helpful in keeping track of student scores as you provide feedback in Google Classroom, and makes it a lot easier to enter your grades into SIS if you see sort of a running roster of scores within your Google Classroom. So I would recommend actually entering the point value for the assignment, whether it be 100 or otherwise. You obviously also have the choice of selecting ungraded. You should enter a due date. Entering a due date is critical because it will populate the student's Google Calendar, and this will help students stay organized, and it would obviously help all of us stay organized too. So for example, maybe it's due towards the end of the month. You can designate a time if you want the assignment to be due by the end of your class period, but that's up to you. And then you can automatically categorize it in whichever unit it applies to. But if you don't and you just select no topic, there's no problem there. You can again drag and drop the assignment to the appropriate unit when the time comes. Here you can add a rubric as well, and you also have the opportunity to check the check plagiarism or originality report. And by doing that, as students turn in and submit their work, you will be able to see if there are any issues of academic dishonesty, and can address those as necessary. So once you've set up your assignment, you simply click Assign. And again, because I did not designate a topic, you see it just landed here at the very top of my page. But it's very easy then to drag and drop to the unit it belongs to. The next feature we'll review is creating a quiz assignment, and I know that many of us are trying to brainstorm ways that we plan to assess students this year. This is one option. So if you go to the Create button, select Quiz Assignment, you will see a very similar window as you did for just a general assignment. And the same is true. You can go ahead and type in the title of the assessment, the instructions, and then you can either add a pre-created Google form quiz here, or it automatically populates with a blank quiz, and you can edit and create the quiz while you are creating the quiz assignment in your Google Classroom. Once again, you'd go in here to the right hand side, select your classes that you want to apply the quiz to, which students should take it, point value, due date when the quiz is to occur, select the topic so it's categorized, and then click Assign. The next feature we'll review is the Create Question feature. So you simply go to the Create button, select Question, and here you can type in the question of your choice. You can determine whether or not you want to give the students the opportunity to provide a short answer response or a multiple choice. I'm going to select short answer. You can determine whether or not this question will be for a grade. So you can decide on point value. I'm going to say this is ungraded. It's going to be assigned to my classroom, all students. You can select a due date. And you can also determine if you want students to reply to each other or if you want to allow them to edit their answers. By allowing students to reply to each other, this generates more of a discussion board feature. But if you are just trying to collect some quick data to determine what your students understand about a particular topic, you may want to uncheck this option so that the responses, the discussion will not ensue. When you're ready and you've created it, you can go ahead and click Ask. And again, go ahead and file that under the appropriate unit. Okay, now that we've gone through the different features that you may use in the classwork section of your Google Classroom, I'm going to navigate over to the People tab. This is where you would be able to see a list of your students enrolled in the class, as well as any instructors associated with it. And if you are a team teacher, this is where you would want to go to add or invite any team teachers that might be working with you so that they have the ability to create assignments and assessments and materials within your Google Classroom as well. Here you can add students. If you have your student roster, you can enter students individually by their email address, or I would suggest simply providing your students with your class code on the first day of school so that they can join your classes themselves. So the class code is found here under the People tab, but it is also found on the home page where we see the stream here in the banner. So there's two places you can access that class code to share it with your students. Okay, so the last thing we're going to go over is the settings for your Google Classroom. If you go ahead and toggle to the settings cog in the upper right hand corner, you can review your class details. These are the things that we've set up at the very beginning when we created the class. If you scroll down under General, you will see your class code. You have the option to display, copy, or reset your class code if necessary. This option here is important under the stream. It defaults to students can post and comment. If you do not want your students to be able to post and comment on the different announcements and assignments that you post, you will want to go into the drop-down menu and either select students can only comment or only teachers can post or comment. Another feature you may want to consider setting is the classwork on the stream. As the stream is a chronological sort of real-time ticker of any posts that go up on your Google Classroom, it defaults to show condensed notifications, and you can change that to show attachments and details of your announcements, assignments, and assessments, or you can hide notifications altogether. I find that the show condensed notifications seems to be perfectly fine for what I use myself. You can also generate a Meet link for Google Meet. So if at some point we use Google Meet as our synchronous platform to deliver instruction, that's something you can also include in your Google Classroom, and then you would have to make visible to students. As far as grading, I wouldn't worry too much about setting up your grade calculation, since this will all happen in SIS anyhow, but you will be able to see the raw point values in your grade book at the top of your Google Classroom here once students have all joined your classes. And the last feature I'll show you is how to schedule materials or assignments or assessments or anything you post. So if you go to the Create, Say I want to add an announcement to remind students to study for their history test. Instead of posting it immediately, I can click the drop down arrow and select schedule. And I can decide that this announcement should not be posted until Friday at 8 a.m. and schedule that. And then here you can see at the very top of your classwork page that you have this material scheduled to go out August 14th at 8 a.m. Going back to the stream, now that we've added some course materials, you can see the view of the stream and the various things that we have posted. You can see that it's posted chronologically from oldest post to newest post. So that's how it's going to be viewable by the students as well. That covers a general overview of how to navigate Google Classroom, how to set up and add course content to your learning management system. For more tips and tricks, stay tuned.